having a morning run in a gentle, cool drizzle, listening to the crickets, sitting on a rock, enjoying the cool breeze and appreciating the showering of blessings from the existence in the form of beautiful, gentle drizzle. Life cannot get better than this. As I'm sitting here reflecting on the pollution that just is ending, people are saying Michachamidukkadam to each other. I reflect on this activity called expressing Michachamidukkadam to each other. What does that mean? It is supposed to mean I forgive you from the bottom of my heart if you have caused any sufferings to me. And I also ask you for your forgiveness if I have caused any suffering to you. One word supposed to symbolize activity happening within your deep heart. Is it possible for one word to describe such a feeling coming from the depth of our psyche? I don't know. The way it is right now, Michachamidukkadams have been passed along to each other, and it's multiplying exponentially. Being on the WhatsApp, one click and you can send out the message to hundreds or thousands of people all over the world. What does this word mean? And what are we supposed to say? If you really analyze, we are really using it very superficially without understanding the real meaning of Michachamidukkadam. The fallacy is that someone else causes you the suffering and you forgive that person. Since when suffering could be given to someone else? The suffering, first of all, is your interpretation of someone else's behavior. If somebody insults you, he calls you tall, short, black, white, rich, poor, arrogant, whatever. Does that constitute suffering? And the person who said that, is he the cause of it? Think again. Somebody insults you and you feel insulted. He's the one who is in the control. He controls your behavior. He controls your emotions. The fact is, you wanted a respect from that person, and instead of respect, you got an insult, and you suffered, and you consider him responsible for your suffering. The truth is, your ego, which wanted respect from the world, and that became the cause of your suffering. It's like you have a can of gasoline. You're walking into a street where kids are playing with fireworks. One of the spark falls on your can of gasoline, and the whole thing turns into fire. Whose fault is that? The spark or the can of gasoline? If you were walking into the same street without the can of gasoline, you could have walked through the street enjoying the fireworks as if it doesn't, and it will not affect you. You could just participate and leave the street. So our ego is the cause of our suffering. Our ego is the can of gasoline on which people throw sparks. So first of all, we have to understand that forgiving someone for the suffering they caused to you is a wrong way of looking at life. Because of this mistake, the whole world is blaming each other for their own suffering, because we never have a chance to go within and analyze our ego, which is false. Our ego wants things from the world, and because of this wanting, when we don't get things, we get upset, we get hurt. We hate the person who did this to us. And now, once a year, we go out and say, Michachamidukkadam. So what did we really do? The feeling of hatred for the person who insulted us, we are removing it. We are forgiving that person. And we think that we did a big job. Even then, by saying Michachamidukkadam, we boost our ego that I forgave someone who insulted me. But the reality is totally upside down. He could insult you only because of your own ego. And it is in your possession. It is your creation. So what we do is, we do prayaschit. Prayaschit is a beautiful word. Prayas means one that was before. Chit is the mind. So we are playing at the mind level. We had hatred for the person who insulted us. We are removing that hatred, and we are resetting the mind back to where it was when we used to love that person. But after his insult and our hatred, the things had changed. So we reset our relationships. But life is more complicated. We are the mind. We are trying to go beyond the mind, but we have not left the mind yet. The English word man comes from the mind, man, which describes the mind. Animals are nothing but body, pretty much with very primitive mind. But humans are very well developed mind. That's why the word man came from the mind. Our Sanskrit word of man. So our life is lived at the mind level, where we go back and forth. Mind made a mistake of hating someone, so we forgive that person for his mistakes. We are never realizing that mistake was ours, because we have never known the life beyond the mind. So we do prayaschit, we reset our mind, and we say, okay, I got angry on that person because he insulted me. I'm not gonna do this anger again in the future. And you reset your mind and you feel that you did a big job. You had a good image about yourself. You consider yourself a nice person, and just as a spark, the anger came out of you towards that person. But that destroyed your own image of your own goodness. And now you're resetting that image. You're deciding that you're not gonna make that mistake again of getting angry on someone. But the same thing has happened many times. Many times we have decided we are not gonna be angry. Many times we have decided we are not gonna eat these unhealthy foods. Many times we have decided we're not gonna have alcohol. Many times we have decided we're not gonna be greedy anymore. What not? And we have done it again and again and again, because we are living at the mind level. The same mind which is a progenitor of all these negativities, anxiety, grief, hatred, anger, lust. All these things are coming out of a mind which is diseased. Mind cannot fix itself. Mind is a duality. It tries to choose one thing over the other. It chooses the person who sweet talks to you, and it hates the person who insulted you. You are choosing. Mind is nothing but choices. The only time you can go beyond the mind is through the dhyan, through meditation. With gradual persuasion, you start walking away from the mind. Mind is a duality. It divides the world into good and bad, sukh and dukh, tall and short, black and white, rich and poor. As long as we live at the mind level, the most we can do is prayaschit. We can reset our mind back to where it was. But we have not really achieved anything along the path recommended by Mahavir, who was the champion of the soul. For the first time in the history of mankind, when the whole country, the nation, was suffering with arrogance of Brahmins, caste system had taken a big toll. People were feeling superior. People were feeling inferior. The instability was rife everywhere. Mahavir came along, made you realize the existence of your Atma, the soul. He showed the supremacy of the soul over the mind. And he saw that potential in every single human being. Every human being had a soul, and everyone was capable of becoming Mahavir. He showed the path. We never progressed. We never held his finger, and we never beyond what we were. And after 2500 years, we still playing with our mind, which is nothing but a duality. Through Dhyan, the path that he recommended, being aware of the mind, we have capacity to go beyond the mind. Witnessing the mind is witnessing the duality. It is tough, but it has to be done to rise higher than being an ordinary man. Going beyond the mind, you enter the field of the soul, which has no shape, no size, no colors, no limits, no boundaries, no characteristics. It's blank, but it is full of awareness. The awareness is the fire that is burning within us. And in this fire, we have to burn our own ignorances, called the mind, the duality. Prayaschit is being conducted at the chitta level, the mind level. Praschatap is another word, a beautiful word. Praschatap is whatever happened is burnt. That's why it's called tap. Going beyond the mind is tap. Mind is the holder of all our negativities, our hatred, our anger, our anxieties, our grief, our mad, ego, moh, maya. Everything is locked up in our mind. And going beyond that is not easy, because we have lived the life of the mind for all these lives. And now, for the first time, walking along through the meditation, we are burning the seeds of these ignorances that we have been holding on to. So Praschatap is where the mind is being burnt. Mind is the holder of our ego. And for the first time we realize that it is our ego which is the cause of our suffering. So ego was the one which got insulted from someone else's sayings, because ego wanted respect from the society. We are dependent on the society for our feeling of well-being at the mind level. We want to satisfy our ego. Ego needs nourishment from the society, and it is dependent on the society. Atma is independent. To go from the mind to the Atma is the tap. The Atma is the fire. Fire because just like the fire burns everything, and at the end it just equalizes everything. All the forms, the shapes, the sizes, the colors, everything gets destroyed in the fire. Atma is the fire of singularity which burns the duality hiding within our mind. So go within, do paschatap, burn that seed of the ego. So the next time if somebody does say something to you, one, you don't have to suffer. If suffering does not happen, the forgiveness is not necessary. So I don't know how deep we are when we say Michachamidukkadam to each other. Analyze yourself. Go deep within yourself. And work on your own ego. Then probably a prashyatap would be happening. Once you burn the seed of your suffering, suffering disappears. Have a good day.